Hello, friends. Today I'll be speaking on the contemporary approaches to psychology. I'm Dr. Eulalia Fernandez from St. Xavier's College, Mapsa, and these are the various approaches that I will be discussing in today's module. Through this module, students will understand and appreciate the diversity of interest and focus within psychology. They will also gain knowledge of the several dominant and influential approaches to psychology. Now, there are several approaches that influence psychology. These approaches basically explain to us different aspects of behavior. And these approaches may often be referred to as schools of thought. We'll begin with the psychodynamic approach. Sigmund Freud, the founding father of psychoanalysis, explained the human mind as an iceberg with only a small amount of it being visible. But the submerged mind is what influences behavior the most. The psychodynamic approach emphasizes that behavior springs from unconscious drives and motives. They argue that it is the unlearned biological instincts, especially sexual and aggressive impulses, that influence the way we think, feel, and behave. The underlying assumption is that unconscious forces are important influences on human behavior. Although Sigmund Freud saw much of personality development as instinctual, he said that early relationships with parents are chief forces that shape our behavior. Sigmund Freud's theory was later used as a therapy, which he called as psychoanalysis. In the therapy setting, the psychodynamic approaches emphasize on memories, repressed memories, free association, dream interpretation, and analysis of transference. We look at behavioral approach next. John Watson established behaviorism and sought to understand behavior by measuring observable behavior. So basically, behaviorism is a scientific study of observable behavior and their environmental determinants. The behaviorists try and study the various environmental conditions called as stimuli and its effect on observable behavior known as responses. Essentially, behaviorists say that all behavior is learned, and they propose that there are two ways in which people learn from their environment. We have the classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Ivan Pavlov, a Russian psychologist, studied classical conditioning. B.F. Skinner investigated operant conditioning. He studied the role of reward and punishment in determining behavior. We do things, say behaviorists, not because of an inborn innate tendency to be competent people, but because of the kind of environmental conditions we are exposed to. Behaviorists also say that we learn behavior through modeling and imitation. Social cognitive theorists like Bandura suggest that it is not only the environmental conditions, but how our thoughts modify the effect of environment on behavior. Next, we look at cognitive approach. Psychologists of this perspective study cognition, which is a mental act or process of how knowledge is acquired. So the focus of cognitive perspective is to study how we process or transform information about our surrounding. They study mental functions like perception, attention, decision making, etc. Basically, the cognitive approach studies the way humans gather, store, and retrieve information. So, according to cognitive theorists, they describe behavior as a result of how individuals remember things and process things. That is what explains why we remember certain things for a short time, why we remember other things for a longer time, how we can use imagery to plan our future. Piaget, Bandura, Beck are some of the influential cognitive psychologists. We move on to the behavioral neuroscience. It is also known as biopsychology, and this approach examines the biological influences on behavior. So, how biology is related to behavior. Here, they try and study how the brain and the body create emotions, sensory experiences, memory. It stresses on how the structure and function of the nervous system is related to our behavior. So, basically, they say that there is a physical basis to our behavior. Numerous electrical impulses zoom throughout the nerve cells, releasing certain chemicals which make us think, feel, and act. So, the underlying assumption here is that for every thought, feeling, and action, there is a corresponding physical activity that takes place in the brain. We move on to evolutionary approach, which is based on Charles Darwin's theory of evolution and natural selection. Here, we look at how mental processes or certain kind of perceptions are influenced by our surrounding. So, behavior here, mental processes and psychological traits such as perception, language, attention are seen as adaptive, that is, functional products of our environment, functional products of evolution. So, we see how evolution influences our behavior. David Buss, one of the very influential evolutionary psychologists, he said that just as evolution shapes our physical features, for example, height, it also influences our decision making, fears, levels of aggression, etc. We have the socio-cultural approach next. This is an approach that seeks to understand the relationship between social behavior and culture. How social behavior is related and culture is related to our behavior. So, the emphasis of the socio-cultural perspective is that how social situations and culture affect the way we think, feel, and behave. So, the approach here emphasizes that we need to pay attention to the culture, ethnic identity, and socio-cultural factors in order to understand a person's behavior. So, in other words, in simple words, to understand a person's behavior, it is essential to understand the socio-cultural background in which the behavior takes place. Now, socio-cultural perspective not only examines differences in people's behavior across cultures, but also tries and studies how people's behavior from different ethnic and cultural backgrounds differ within the same country as well. So, basically, here the interest of socio-cultural approach is to study behaviors across different situations and cultures. A psychologist sometimes begin to feel that their field focuses too much on negatives and less importance is given to the positives. When the tone of psychology was believed to become too negative, two movements emerged during this time that focused on how psychology can have a positive impact on our behavior. And the first one here is the humanistic approach. The emphasis of the humanistic approach is on a person's positive qualities, his capacity for growth, and his freedom to choose. So, this perspective emphasizes that individuals have the potential for choosing their own for making their own decisions, for choosing their careers. They can have control over their lives and they avoid being manipulated by others. So, humanists then are interested in the choices people make and their underlying motivations. Humanism is an area that looks at individual behavior as unique and stresses on the capacity of free will and the innate tendency that individuals have towards self-actualization. Self-actualization is a unique tendency or a desire within an individual to fulfill one's potential. Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers are two founding fathers of this approach. Finally, we look at positive psychology. Positive psychology is a field that assesses human behavior and mental processes by focusing on people's strengths rather than weaknesses, by building the good in people rather than by repairing what is wrong. There is a shift in focus from what's broken to what works. So basically, this is an area that examines what can make life worth living. It's a new area of study that emphasizes on strengths and virtues of individuals that makes them thrive and compete within society and help them lead more meaningful lives. The founders of positive psychology are Martin Seligman and Csikszentmihalyi, who emphasized on positive experiences people value subjectively, like optimism, hope, satisfaction, joy, love, positive individual traits like wisdom, creativity, talent, forgiveness, and group and civic values such as nurturance, responsibility, altruism, etc. So, the focus of positive psychology is on individual and societal well being, and they suggest that it is not simply repairing lives, but it is trying to bring out the best in people. So, friends, these were the various contemporary approaches, and most psychologists would agree that there is no one approach that is correct. Each one has their strengths and weaknesses and helps in bringing out different aspects of behavior. So, these were the references. Thank you.